I was so excited. I was like, remember. And I was like,
Jake first.
yes.
Yes,
because
because she
play it nicely.
go drink and get high after the show tomorrow. We're really excited.
So here's where it starts. Two of the biggest names in music and TV, Blake Shelton and Kelly Clarkson. On stage, total magic. He's the cowboy with that slow Oklahoma charm. She's the powerhouse with a laugh that fills up a room. Put them together on The Voice, and you got fireworks. The inside jokes, the fake bickering, the chemistry. It felt like watching your two favorite cousins argue at Thanksgiving. But here's the thing. What you see on TV isn't always the full story. Behind the laughs, life was getting complicated. And Kelly? She didn't mean to, but she ended up right smack in the middle of it. At number 10, we rewind to when the friendship first clicked. Back then, Blake was fresh off a brutal divorce. The tabloids ate it up. Every detail, every mistake, every wound. And who was standing next to him cracking jokes, throwing him lifelines when he needed them most? Kelly. Audiences saw their banter as comic gold. But underneath, Kelly was that rare person in Hollywood who actually cared, off camera as much as on. Blake leaned on her, not because she had to, but because she showed up when people sometimes don't. Then came number 9, Gwen Stefani. Fans went wild. They loved Blake and Gwen, and you couldn't open a magazine without seeing them holding hands on some red carpet. For Blake, it was a new love story. For Kelly, things got tricky. She wasn't just Blake's buddy anymore. She was also Gwen's friend. That's like when two of your closest friends start dating and you're the one stuck navigating who you're closer to. Do you gush over Gwen's new songs? Or do you check in on Blake's lingering heartbreak? Either way, somebody's feelings can get bent out of shape. And in Hollywood, the tiniest thing, a hug, a word choice, turns into a headline. Number 8. The gossip blows up louder. Suddenly, everyone assumes Kelly has inside knowledge about Blake and Gwen's private struggles, like she's their unofficial referee. Meanwhile, her own world is cracking open. She's going through a painful divorce. High stakes, high drama, messy custody battles. Imagine grieving your own marriage and then opening your phone to headlines suggesting you're meddling in someone else's. It's exhausting just to think about. She wasn't just caught in the middle. She was drowning in her own storm, while people tossed more weight onto her shoulders. By number 7, Kelly could have walked away, could have said, "You know what? Y'all figure this out without me." But she didn't. She stayed loyal to Blake, even in small, quiet ways. Their banter on TV wasn't always staged for laughs. Sometimes it was checking in without saying the heavy stuff directly. You've probably done that before yourself, using jokes to ask, "You good?" without putting all the pain onto the table. That's the kind of friend she was, the one who sticks around even when it's easier to bail. Number 6 shifts us again. Blake started changing. The endless media chatter, the constant pressure. It wore him down. Slowly, he began pulling back. Not as quick with jokes, not as open with sharing. It wasn't him being cruel. It was him putting up walls because constant speculation was eating him alive. For Kelly, though, it hurt. Standing next to a close friend, but feeling like you're separated by a pane of glass. He was still there, still beside her, but harder to reach. It's one of the worst feelings, caring about someone you can see slipping away, but not knowing how to grab them back. And that's where the first half closes. From the outside, they were still America's favorite duo, cracking people up on network TV. On the inside, shadows, splinters forming under the surface. Kelly struggling to keep her own balance, Blake retreating for survival. You could feel the cracks forming even if you couldn't yet name them. And, oh, we're just getting started. All right, so we pick back up. At this point, the laughs are still big, the chemistry on camera is still golden, but underneath, you can sense the strain. Blake was building walls. Kelly was fighting her own battles. And the friendship that once felt unshakable was wobbling under all that weight. Number 5. The walls get taller. Blake wasn't opening up like he used to. He hadn't stopped caring. He just stopped sharing. His go-to defense? Silence, sarcasm, fewer vulnerable moments. To everyone else, he was still cracking jokes and keeping it light. But Kelly knew. She could tell when the banter wasn't fuel anymore. It was armor. She felt it. And honestly, that kind of distance hurts worse than a fight. At least with a fight, you know where you stand. Silence is colder. Number 4 hits hard. Kelly's own world wasn't just stressful. It was collapsing publicly. Her divorce was no tabloid whisper. It was loud, messy, drawn out. Custody fights. Personal details published where strangers could dissect them with their morning coffee. Public Kelly stayed funny, strong, empathetic. Private Kelly was falling apart. And the cruel irony? The woman Blake leaned on during his heartbreak was now standing in rubble while trying to keep him from toppling too. Both of them broken, both trying to support each other. And honestly, it was too much. Number 3 cranks up the gossip heat again. Every single thing they did in public became an interpretation. Was that laugh too short? Did he avoid her eye contact? Was she being too close to Gwen? Absurd, of course. But when your friendship is under a magnifying glass, absurd suddenly feels real. And it's suffocating. The bond that once felt natural and easy became heavy, guarded, even awkward. Because they weren't just friends anymore. They were characters in a story people wouldn't stop rewriting. Then number 2. The night it all cracked open. No cameras, no microphones, just Blake and Kelly talking late into the night. And he let it spill out. The loneliness, the ache, the nights when all the noise around him faded, and he still felt hollow. He admitted he trusted Kelly, that she was the one person he could be that raw with. For him, it was probably a release. For her, a heartbreak of its own. Because she wanted to be there, and she was. But she was breaking too. Holding someone up while your own legs are crumbling. That leaves scars. Finally, number 1. The ending nobody saw coming. It wasn't a giant fight. No slammed doors. No betrayal. Just silence. Fewer calls. Less advice shared. Conversations that once flowed easily started happening less, until eventually they weren't really happening at all. The bond didn't explode, it faded. The laughs stayed on TV, the little jokes remained, but the closeness wasn't the same. Both realized they couldn't carry everything without crushing both of them. Letting go wasn't about not caring, it was about surviving. For Blake, it left a hollow space where one of his best allies used to be. For Kelly, it meant living with the bittersweet truth. Loving a friend enough to know you couldn't keep holding both of your heartbreaks at once. And isn't that the haunting part? That the greatest friendships don't always end with betrayal. They just slowly unravel, thread by thread, until you both stand there quietly grieving something nobody else even notices is gone. But here's the flip side. Both of them pushed forward. Blake poured himself into his music, his stage smile, his slow step toward stronger ground. Kelly? She turned her pain into something creative and powerful. Performances that cut right through audiences. Songs and words that made people who'd felt the same ache go. Yeah, me too. So when you look at this story, it's not about gossip columns or who sided with who. It's about two human beings trying to hold each other up in storms so heavy they eventually realized they couldn't. And that's real life. Sometimes your closest people fade, not because they stopped loving you, but because carrying everything together was just too heavy. That's the truth behind Blake Shelton's heartbreak and Kelly Clarkson's impossible role in it all. Not scandal, not betrayal, just life. Heavy, complicated, and achingly human. And this is really where the story ends. Not with some splashy scandal that tabloids love to scream about, not with betrayal or fireworks, but with something way more ordinary, and honestly, way more heartbreaking. Silence. Blake Shelton and Kelly Clarkson didn't stop caring about each other. That part never really went away. They didn't explode into some dramatic fight. What happened was two friends tried to hold each other up through storms that were just too heavy. and the weight finally cracked the bond. Not because they stopped loving each other, but because carrying both heartbreaks together was too much. Blake leaned on Kelly when his life fell apart. She was the one who made sure he kept standing. And when her world broke into pieces, she tried to be strong for him too, while crumbling herself. That's friendship at its rawest. But two broken people can only lean on each other so long before they start dragging each other down. Their silence wasn't betrayal. It was survival. And sometimes that's the harshest truth. You can still laugh with someone in public, still share inside jokes, but deep down, know the closeness is gone. But you know what? They both turned the pain into strength. Blake found pieces of hope in music. Kelly poured her heartbreak into songs that touched millions going through the same thing. That's resilience. That's survival. That's human. So maybe the lesson here is this. Not every friendship lasts forever. Even the strongest bonds can bend until they finally break. And that's okay. What's left? The love, the memories, the scars. You carry those with you. And maybe that's what true friendship really is. Something that still exists, even in the silence. If this story hit you in the heart, give this video a like. It helps keep these stories alive. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more moments like this. And hey, share this with a friend, maybe one you've drifted from, because you never know what it might mean to them. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever had a friendship that quietly faded, not because of anger, but because life just made it too heavy to hold? Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it.